Alright guys, so the single leg anterior reaches with the upper extremity driver, my reference point is always my big toe. So with the tape measure right here, tape measure in centimeters, and again this is on the functional grid map right here. My reference point is my big toe. It is exactly right behind the tape measure. You can measure both fingers, which I will do, middle fingers down, out, and as far as you can. Opposite arm, opposite leg, same arm, same leg. Make sure you're specific in terms of the reference point. The key points that I'll point out to the individual first, hey, in order for it to count, you need to, on a single leg, lower your center of gravity, reach and touch, and stand all the way back up without touching down. Otherwise, it does not count. We're going after stability, but then also mobility, grossly speaking, of the foot and the ankle and of the hip complex. And I'll share with you the nomenclature I use and why I would use each one as well. So for me, for the single leg anterior reach, I am measuring the distance that I can travel and touch, whether it's ground high or bringing in a cone at a certain distance at a certain height. I'll also have little stickers that I'll put on objects that, hey, touch that object, move it in and out. My goal and objective with the single leg anterior reach matrix is to see how well I can load up the butt and hip complex in various dimensions while assessing hip mobility and stability, as well as foot and ankle mobility and stability and functional strength. So my first is a single leg anterior reach with two hands, so a bilateral upper extremity reach at ground high or at knee high. We need to be specific with what our measurements are or our destination point and their heights so that we get an accurate comparison down the road. So single leg anterior reach on the right leg with two-handed or bilateral upper extremity ground high reach. We also have four other dimensions that I go to: 45-degree angle to the left, a 90-degree angle to the left, 45 to the right, and 90 to the right. And I'm going to show you on my grid first, and then I'm going to show you how I would set that up, because you don't have 5 different rulers. You could obviously tape them together. You have one. Very easy to do. So we have a single leg anterior medial, so a single leg anterior reach, ground high, anterior medial with both hands. And then we have a single leg anterior reach, reach that is medial. So it's straight medial referencing the midline of the body right here. And then we have a single leg anterior reach at the anterior lateral vector, that's ground high. And then we have a single leg anterior reach that is in the lateral dimension at ground high. So what we would do with one tape measure then, I start off moving forward, so let's go anterior. And then what I do, so my big toe is still the reference point in all of this. So now the tape measure, if I'm pointed straight ahead, this tape measure is on a 45-degree angle. So we're going single leg anterior reach at that anterior medial vector line, and then with a single leg anterior reach, we're going to go medial. So here and there. When we go anterior lateral now, my reference point is still my big toe. My big toe is kind of the tape measure is kind of on the outside portion of my big toe. So at the anterior lateral kind of vector. And then in regards to let's say like a little lateral reach right here, my reference point, we still use that big toe. Big toe is always the reference point. So the entire big toe is going to be on the inside of the tape measure, so if that makes sense. So my big toe right here, I've got the tape measure that's going underneath the toes, and that's butting up right against the outside of the big toe. That is my lateral kind of measuring point. So that gives me a gross idea in terms of the transformational zones of the foot and the ankle. anterior, I'm going after dorsiflexion and eversion. And once I start to add some of these other planes, dorsiflexion, eversion, and abduction. So eversion of the subtalar joint, dorsiflexion, abduction, and what you would consider relative inversion of the mid-tarsal joint. And same thing laterally. And then we're going dorsiflexion and inversion, and dorsiflexion and inversion. So the ankle joint of the subtalar joint, getting dorsiflexion, getting adduction of that mid-tarsal joint, and a relative eversion of the mid-tarsal joint as I go laterally as my reference point.